Hi, I'm John Duarte. It's December of 2015. I'm up here at Duarte Georgetown Vineyards. We're looking at a 2-year-old planting of Ubervines. These grapevines were planted as Duarte Nursery Ubervines in March of 2014. They were grown up the entire year without training. They were laid down with their first year canes last year. And this year we're coming in after harvesting in 2015 about 2.5 to 3 tons an acre of fruit off these, at that time, 18-month-old vines. We're going to do the second year's training pass. Now note, the training pass we're about to do is the second training pass these vines have ever seen. It's in conjunction with their second pruning pass, and it's after they've already produced 2.5 tons of fruit per acre. So we're going to take a look at a vine here. This is as it's been. It's got good spur positions. We laid down a foot of cordon last year, a foot of cane. We like what we see in terms of its fruit positions up to this point here. So we're going to cut off some of this. Strip out some cordons. We're going to lay an extension to meet up to the other vine there. Leave some internode. Take off the laterals. And ready to fruit. Now, something we're doing a little bit different now than what was the industry norm a few years ago is we're not wrapping cordons anymore. We want to keep the cordon on one side of the vine as much as possible, and that reason for that is with the way healthy vines are going into the ground, we're seeing vineyards planted with healthy nursery stock start to get virus in the block, either leaf roll or red blotch virus, within 3 or 4 years of planting. And it comes in and hits a minority of the vines at first, and then it hits quite a number of the vines. So we don't want to wrap these canes around the wire. If we have to remove these canes in the future, remove the entire vine in the future to rogue for virus, we want the vine to be fairly easily removable. So we're keeping the cane all on one side of the wire right now. I'm going to make a very firm tie of the internode section of this vine here at the end to keep it anchored. And that's really important because we're not wrapping. We don't have that anchorage advantage that wrapping would give us. We've only got a 2-foot cordon. So that's what we're going to do. Here, we don't really like the way this cordon developed in here. It has a couple blank spots, and so that's okay. We've got 8x4 vine spacing at this vineyard, which means there's only 2-foot cordons each way. We can kind of happily take out that cordon laid down last year and just put a replacement player here. And come around the same side of the vine. We're going to make a very tight, very firm tie down of the internode again here on the end. I'm going to go 3 times around, wrestle with it a bit. That tight in there. Come in here in the middle, take some of that arch out of there. I'm going to do a double tie, but I'm going to leave it a little bit looser. And here in the crotch, we're going to do a double wrap again. And again, whenever we do a double wrap that is on that internode on the end, we're going to leave it a little loose so we don't run a risk of girdling the vine in the future. So there's that one. Let's do one more because there are some choices we're making as we train. This vine has more of an ideal push on both sides of it, so it's going to be a very straightforward vine to train. This is going to be our extension cane here, right there. This is just going to get your conventional basal bud +1 pruning. This was same as this here. So with this basal bud +1 bud pruning, we can expect on this vineyard about a 4 to 5 ton crop next year. So it's given us already about 2.5 tons of fruit that we never would have expected off a first year vineyard. Next year we think it's going to give us 4 to 5 tons of fruit off a third year vineyard versus 2 to 3 tons. So we'd say this vineyard, because it was planted with Ubervines, and trained the way we recommend they be trained, we are going to see about 5 tons of fruit in the first 2 years of production off this vineyard that we would not have expected or budgeted had we gone with conventional vines. And as you can see, this being the second training pass this vineyard's ever seen, we're saving a lot of money in vineyard costs. Ask my ranch manager up here, Salvador Baruman, if he wants to see any more conventional vines or if he wants Ubervines. He says the suckering passes alone should motivate us to just plant Ubervines. We just don't sucker these vineyards the way we sucker conventional vineyards 3 and 4 times a year sometimes when they're young. So here they're going to put a double wrap on this first position. Again, because we're not wrapping the canes, we're going to use a little bit more tie down strategy to make sure the vine stays on the wire indefinitely. Here's our extension. So just dropping down extension. We didn't want to leave 2 feet of cane in the first year's pruning, because when you leave 2 feet of cane, you end up with a lot more of the blind bud stuff that we cut out over there. You almost have no chance at keeping the codon arm. And with 2 feet of cane, we might end up with 4 or 5 tons on a very young vine. And that's not what we want. That's not what the winemaker's going to want. That's not what the vine wants. It's going to stress it. So we think laying down about a foot each way in the first year, and then coming in here like we've just done and tying down the full cordon length on most of the vines for 2 feet of cordon each way, when you include the extensions, is going to take us up into the 4 to 5 ton production range next year, in addition to the 2.5 tons we got this year in 2015. By the end of 2016, we'll have taken, what is it, 2.5 plus 5? We've taken 7 tons of fruit off this vineyard, and we'll have made 2 training passes. And both of those training passes were in conjunction with our annual pruning that we would have done anyways. So we think the Ubervine's a very economic new option for growers, and we think this vineyard is evidence why that's working out. Thank you very much.